We are soon going to receive keys to our new HDB flat, but my girlfriend suddenly said we cannot open the door or do renovation at all because it will clash with the Chinese Hungry Ghost Festival. I strongly believe this as a religious festival and we should not pay heed to it, but my girlfriend says it's a cultural belief and for a peace of mind. What should I do, Ustaz? So basically, question is asking a Muslim and he married a convert, a Chinese and a convert, and when they got the keys to the HDB, the wife insists that they do not open the door because it will clash with the Hungry Ghost festival. So the person is saying that this festival is a religious festival, not a cultural festival. But the wife said it is a cultural, and what is how to go about in this situation. So basically, the question is asking about Hungry Ghost Festival. If you look at the Hungry Ghost Festival, it is a religious festival. Hungry Ghost Festival, it is a religious festival in which there is a belief that what you call it, the gates of the hell, in a sense, are open, and likewise, there is ancestor worship during that particular day. So, as a Muslim, it is not permissible for a Muslim to participate or to believe in such faith because it is not in line with the Islamic belief. We believe in Islam and we believe in Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. We believe in our religion of Islam. Anything that is contradictory to our belief, or any sense of idol worship or worshipping of the ancestors and all these types of worship, it is not within our Islamic faith. It is contrary to the Islamic faith. So it is not permissible for a Muslim to believe and to participate in such things. Now, so what is important is that you explain to your wife, to your wife about this thing. She is a convert and she might not know. She is new to Islam. She is still influenced by certain ideas which she had in the past. So as a husband, it is our responsibility to explain to our wives or even to our friends and family about things that has connection with the religion of Islam. So anything that is contrary to our belief, anything that can tarnish our iman, it is not permissible for us to believe in such things. Now, so what is important here is to have a conversation and to explain, and to explain about how Islam view all these kinds of worshipping of other than Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and this ascribing your partner to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala has to be explained, especially to those who are new to Islam. So when it comes to the Islamic practice, when a person gets a new house, it is a sunnah that we do the adhan, we do the iqamah, we recite the Quran, especially Surah Al-Baqarah. We perform any prayers inside, and we clean the house. So these are some of the things that is a sunnah for us to practice when we entering any new houses. The next question is asking. Let's see. I think this is quite a long question. Let's see. So the question is asking, Assalamu alaikum Ustaz. Wa alaikum assalam. I have a question regarding women in entertainment. This includes fictional, non-fictional, animated or live, games, film. It is very obvious anything related to sexual or sexual in nature is haram. However, I would like you to know when it is considered zina of the eyes. The phrase is thrown around a lot. Strictly speaking, if I'm not mistaken, it will be any body part that is an aura. This leave only the face and the hands. How would this affect any entertainment? I'm working in the context that the entertainment we are consuming does not include anything sexual, or do they wear anything sexually explicit revealing, but normal everyday clothes that do not cover all of the aura. Maybe they show their arm, higher part, any of the legs. There is a guarantee that there will be a female characters that do not cover the aura and that will appear regularly, be it animated, live, movies or games. I have seen a range of answers, some being as long as you are not aroused. Personally, I find this nonsensical. Why, as long there is not explicitly sexual, do not agree with this. But at the end of the day, I'm still confused because no one seems to need to give a compelling argument. Can you help clarify and answer this question with hadith verses? I need to support it. I think it is something that really needs to be addressed in this age, and every Muslim will benefit. So basically, any question it is asking, any pertaining any to entertainment and watching, playing any video games, or watching any cartoons or movies, and all this kind of entertainment any that we watch any on television or on the internet, pertaining any to women any who do not any cover the aura, pertaining to women who does not cover the aura, but we are looking any at the TV screen. So what is the ruling any in this kind any of sight? Taib. Point number one, as Muslims any, we are clear that it is not permissible for a man to look at the aura of a woman. It is not permissible any for a man to look at the aura of a woman. So aura any of a woman is the whole body except any the face and the hands, according any to some any scholars any that we hold on to, although some scholars any mention any the whole body. So the aura any of a woman and is the whole body except any the face any and the hands. It is not any permissible for a Muslim to look at body parts any other than the face any and the hands, and even any the face any and the hands, it is not any permissible any to look any without any cause. For example, it is not permissible for you to look any at the face any of a woman just for the sake of looking. It is not any permissible, although the face any is not aura. But here it is any to curb. It is any to curb any the desire. That is why in the Quran Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned what Sheikh Ibn Hajar, and who lived about 300-400 years ago, he came out and with a statement. He said that if a person and he looks and he at a woman from a mirror, from a meaning reflection, does it and he carry the same ruling as looking and he at the woman physically? So he said that it is not the same. It is not the same. Type. What is the difference? When we are looking and he at a woman and he at a mirror, this sight and he is looking at the reflection any of the woman. So it is not any the physical any body that we are looking, but we are looking any at a reflection. So in this sense, we are not any looking at the aura. This is not any considered any to be looking any at the aura. So clear? So this is any the argument. So do we consider reflection yani, of a physical being? It carries any the same ruling any as looking any at the physical being physically. So this is any not the same. So there is a difference any between looking any at the reflection and looking any at the physical body. In Islam, what is the thing any that is prohibited? It is prohibited any that we look any at the physical bodies any of women. But when it comes any to the reflection and it carries any a different ruling, since any the reflection any is not any the physical any body itself, it is any a reflection, so the ruling any differs. So from here any our scholars any mentioned that looking at the reflection of a physical any woman is not yani looking at the woman physically. I hope any this is clear, inshallah. I try any my best any to explain. I hope any it is clear. Taib. So the scholars any of the past, we are speaking about 300-400 years ago. Of course, at that time there is no television, there is no internet and all these things, but they use any this analogy using mirror reflection, and likewise the reflection any that is on water. That if a person any looks any at the water and he looks any at the reflection of a woman who does not cover the head, any for example, does this any carry the same ruling as looking at a woman that is not covering the aura physically? So they argued that it is not any the same, because looking any at a reflection and it's not any the same as looking at the physical body. Type. What about television? Now television any is the same, whether live any characters any or cartoon any characters, woman any who does not any cover any the aura. If by looking any as such can make ourselves any sexually any aroused, and at the same time also it can cause any this disturbance any in our minds. looking any at the beauty of certain things, and looking especially any at the parts any that are the private parts, it is not any permissible any in Islam. It is not any permissible in Islam. So looking any at the hips any of woman on television, it is not any permissible. Looking any at what more in looking any at the private parts, this is haram. No any scholars any in Islam any will say that is any permissible. But again, when comes any to looking any at certain any movies or certain video games where the characters any does not any cover any the aura, but in a sense that they are dressed any decently, this does not any carry any the ruling any of looking at the aura any of a woman. This does not any cover the ruling any of looking any at the aura of the woman. The prohibition any comes not at the point any of looking any at the aura, but the prohibition any comes when all these things any becomes any the reason any for sexual any arousal. That is prohibited in Islam, because this form any of sexual any arousal any comes any from a source any that is non halal. A source any that is non halal. So by this any our scholars any mention a qaida any in fiqh, where they mention that if looking any at something can bring any a person to do something that is haram, that means any is also haram. That means any is also haram. So some any of our ulama any they mention that looking at woman, whether physically or non any physically, it carries any the same ruling. And they argue that even any we take any the argument that looking on television or looking any at cartoons can be the reason any that our sexual desires any be aroused, it is also any prohibited. But it is prohibited any not any because that this is any a form of looking at the aura, but the prohibition falls any under darul mafasid, yani to prevent any us any into committing any something any that is prohibited. So the means any also any becomes haram. So I hope any it is clear. So that is why when comes any to believers any real any believers, they will not any look at all these things. Whether we are speaking any about cartoons, whether we are speaking any about movies, woman any not covering any of the aura, even what you call it, this TV any presenter any when they are presenting news, we find any especially any the ulama and all these things, any of course any they will prevent any themselves any from looking any all these things, and they view that this is not permissible. And also we should not any be misunderstood any by what Sheikh Ibn Hajar any is saying. You see, there are people I met any there are people, for example, they use any this argument any to say that it is halal for you to view everything. Again, any we have to put things any into perspective. There is any a difference when comes any to whether looking any at a character on TV as something looking at the aura. If it is a woman who doesn't cover any the aura, is this any looking any at the aura? So Sheikh Ibn Hajar any mentioned this kind any of reflection, the analogy any of the mirror is not any looking any at the aura. But some people any use any this analogy to say that nowadays any television all is a reflection, so it's halal any for us. No, that is not the case. No any single ulama any that I know of say it is permissible any for you to see on TV a woman who does not cover the aura. They do not say any it is permissible. But the explanation any is such. The question any as to whether is that any aura or not aura. But when comes any to looking, anything that becomes any the means that the person can commit ma'siyah, it also any becomes haram. So that is why you find any some people they speak any about such things, and they differentiate any between looking at physical any body and looking any at reflection. So there are some any of these things any that are discussed any by the scholars any in the books any of fiqh. So nowadays any we are in this any situation, advice any for myself and for everyone, and we try our best any to abstain. Now we try any our best to abstain any ourselves any from looking at things that can make us commit any ma'siyah. whether it is offsite any or online. So we have any to guard any our eyes. Nowadays any it is a big challenge any for Muslims. Guarding any of eyes is not any looking at physical things. A person and he can be inside in his room alone, but he is not any guiding any his eyes, and he can scroll this TikTok and Facebook nowadays, Instagram, looking any at YouTube any videos of women dancing, not covering aura and all these things. Now this is not any lowering any of the gaze. This is not lowering any of the gaze. Looking at the things any that is haram, looking at the things any that can arouse any the sexual any desires based any on something any that is prohibited any in Islam. These are the things any that we have to prevent ourselves any from falling any into it, because committing any sins any like this any will decrease any our iman. So today the challenge any how are we able any to guard our, and polygamy any of course any in Islam we say it is permissible. And if a husband any wants any to marry more than one, if he has any the capacity to do so, it is permissible for him to marry, even though the wife any does not agree. Even though the wife does not any agree. Now, so our wives any has to be educated on the Islamic any laws and to understand the religion well. This is the problem any of a woman today. A lot of women are influenced any by